Welcome to Nevertheless, a show dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you will discover how to discern your essence and live powerful.
Hello, good morning, or is it afternoon or evening, wherever you are and you're listening to this. My name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi. This is the Nevertheless show. A show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Last week we looked at purpose, the universal language. How have you fared? Have you taken a look at it? Do you realize that the one thing that beats in the heart of every man, whether white, black, green, yellow, red, peradventure they have those ones, whether tall or short, rich or poor, the one thing that is universal to all of us, like the heartbeat, is the language of purpose. So the question is, what are you saying with your language? How much impact are you making? Last week we looked at some major things that you need to know or look at so that you will be able to recognize that purpose is a universal language. You saw the story of, we had Gideon, we had Jael, we had, we had Ruth, and we had Moses, and we had Jephthah. We looked at those stories to be able to pull out the fact that purpose is a universal language, and that when you get to the point when you begin to speak that language, your life escalates and you begin to live at a level where fulfillment becomes the song in your heart. This week we'll be looking at something slightly similar but not exactly the same. But before then, let me quickly ask whether you have registered for the Return of the Helper Conference. Ross 2016 is 15 days away. It's the 1st of July as I record this, and I woke up this morning and I recognized that I had about 2 weeks before the Return of the Helper Conference, and I had to run to God because immediately I realized that I couldn't do this by myself. I needed divine help. I'll begin to show to you how that can happen, when we begin to look at today's topic. I prayed this morning. I really had to pray because it dawned on me that destinies would be, some of them that I had never met before, will be committed into our hands again on the 16th of July. And I wanted heaven to make sure that we were ready. So if you have registered, you need to do something for me. You need to begin to pray and ask God to make you ready. Because like I have been saying, only the women and maybe a few men who are ready, are in their season to bring forth, will make it into that auditorium. And once you make it in there, you cannot come to the delivery stool and not have strength to bring forth. So a major prayer point that you should pray for yourself, and I am praying, is that when we get there that day, the strength to bring forth, that God would release upon us. I look forward to seeing you. If you have been a follower on this platform, that is, you've been following the Nevertheless show, walk up to me that day and say, I am so and so, and tell me one episode that has made a difference in your life. I'd love to hear from you. Before I go on to today's topic, let's see what's in the market for us.
From the moment of conception through the period of gestation, then comes the final push. A new dream is born. Ladies, it's your time of delivery at the Return of the Helper Conference 2016. Come meet God's anointed servant as they help you midwife your dreams in the womb of the Holy Ghost. Theme, the birthing stool. Date is Saturday, 16 July 2016. Venue is the Elevation Church, 3 Remiolo Wude Way, Lekki Phase 1, Lagos. Time is 9 a.m. Ministry, Pastor Mayokun Oriofe, Coach Anna McCoy, Linda Wallace, and Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Register for free on www.returnofthehelper.com.ng. Roth 2016. It's your season of delivery.
Yes, sir. I have come to give you glory, to give you worship.
Welcome back. It's still the Nevertheless show, and my name is still Bidemi Mark-Mordi. It has been a pretty busy week for me. I was in Ibadan, and well, for those of you who are not in Nigeria, that's some states in Nigeria, and wow, those people showed me love that I can't wait to go back. I'm now in the mode of or frame of mind that Roth is 15 days away, and I'm getting ready. And in getting ready for Roth, I started to think about how I got here. And that's one of the reasons why today's topic came to be. Today we'll be talking about the ecosystem of purpose. The ecosystem of purpose. Incidentally, the word ecosystem is a word I've known for like forever. And I know the word, I understand what the word is, but I couldn't remember the definition. I'm sure they taught me when I was in secondary school, but I mean, it's a long time. I couldn't remember the definition for the word ecosystem. But to be able to do justice to today's topic, I had to go online to check out a dictionary to find out what the word ecosystem means. An ecosystem, a dictionary defines as a system or a group of interconnected elements formed by the interaction of one with another. I want to say it again. A system or a group of interconnected elements formed by the interaction of one with another. There are two words I want to bring out and I need you to think about as we look at today's topic. The first word is interconnected, and the second word is interaction. What I'm trying to tell us today is that purpose is a big picture that each one of us is dealing with from a specific angle. And so when you begin to understand that purpose is an ecosystem of heaven, then what happens is you begin to see that everywhere you go, whatever it is you do, whoever you come across, you are playing a part in their journey and they are playing a part in your journey. So what's the focus of today's show? Focus of today's show is that the understanding will come to you that purpose and destiny is one big picture. When I talk to people, I tell them that purpose is universal. What that means is God is painting one massive picture, but He's decided that He will use all of us as specific and particular artists to paint. And sometimes I imagine that, the artwork that God is putting together, this masterpiece, is going to be in very vibrant and so many colors. Some colors we don't even know exist yet. And every time I think about my stroke, even if it's going to be just one stroke, I know it's going to come in orange. Because that's my personality color. It is the thing that I love the most, the color I love the most, orange. So, peradventure, this whole masterpiece is finished. Just look in that corner. When you see that one in orange, surely you will see my signature beneath it. It would have been painted by me. Yes, I said that because I am in my place, I'm running on my lane, and I'm going to paint my part in this big picture that God has called us to paint. So the first understanding is understand that there is one big picture, but it will not all be painted by one person. Each one of us individually has a stroke. Some of us maybe a tiny jot, but the picture cannot be complete if my stroke is not put in and your tiny jot is not put in. Immediately, that means that you need to identify your position and identify it well. What am I supposed to be painting? When you understand that purpose is an ecosystem, you want to make sure that you paint what you were meant to paint. Don't come looking at my stroke and think, oh, Bidemi painted a nice stroke. Let me try and imitate that stroke. You will be distorting the picture and not adding to the beauty of that picture. The third mindset I want us to garner from today's show is that we all need to see how each one of us connects to the other. There are no coincidences. We all connect because we are all working to deliver one thing that God wants to deliver. Now, because we are connected, there is a ripple effect that happens. What that means is because I am doing what I'm doing well, and that's not being immodest at all, I'm just telling it the way it is. As much as it's possible, I give my all to this thing that I do. Then if you are following and we are connected, then I imagine and I presume and I assume and I'm praying that you will do your own well as well. But here's the thing, until I do mine well, you may not be able to move. And until you do yours well, the next person may not be able to move to paint their stroke. So there's a ripple effect when one person does what they are supposed to do well. And that's another mindset I want you to remember as we're looking at the ecosystem of purpose. The final thing, on mindsets that I want you to develop. And someone said to me, Ma, please tell them again and again and again so that they will hear it. So please listen to me. Yes, listen. Drop everything you are doing. Put that phone down. Listen. You are important. I want to repeat it again. You are important. What that means is not one person who decides to align with God's big picture is useless. You don't have to paint a huge stroke. You don't have to make a big splash. Whatever you have been primed and optimized to make is important. I hope you hear me. You are important. I'll take a breather now, and when I come back, I'll be telling you a few stories from the Bible why I believe that purpose is an ecosystem. Don't go away.
My name is Dr. Linda Wallace, and I'm so excited to be coming to Nigeria for the Return of the Helper 2016 conference, July 16th. I'll be joining my sister Bidemi Mark-Mordi and her dynamic team of women. This year's conference will be absolutely pivotal as we learn about the birthing stool and how it can impact our world to align with heaven. Please join me along with my sister, Dr. Anna McCoy from Dallas, Texas. This is heaven's invitation to apostolic mothers and women across Nigeria as we position ourselves for a new era. Like in the book of Judges, Deborah arose as a mother. She had a direct connection to the wisdom of God, and through her alignment with heaven and relationships with other women, she brought transformation to her nation. The birthing stool will release through us the Father's perspective, encounters with the love of Jesus, and the ministry of the Holy Spirit. We will accelerate in our authority, influence, and power to advance the kingdom of heaven. Return of the Helper 2016, the birthing stool, July 16th. Meet us there. It's going to be an encounter like no other.
Welcome back. The story that I want to use to illustrate today's show is the story of Esther. The reason why I picked that story especially is because that's one book of the Bible that the name God or Jehovah was never mentioned. And so for me, it just looks like one storybook that comes with so many lessons. But I have studied the book of Esther properly, and it illustrates vividly purpose as an ecosystem. So we have at the beginning of the story, not expressly mentioned, but the parents to Esther, at least people gave birth to Esther. And then we have at the end, Esther the queen. But before we got to Esther the queen, so many things happened. So many people painted their strokes so that Esther can become the queen that she was, just so that the Jews would not be annihilated by Haman and his evil plots. So because there was going to be a day where the Jews were going to be in trouble and their life will be at stake, God caused someone to give birth to Esther who was related to a Mordecai. Now I'm thinking about it. of all the people in the world, why Mordecai? But Mordecai became Esther's uncle, so which makes me presume that Esther's parents probably died in one of the wars that they were fighting. And so when they were taken into Babylon or taken into slavery after the war was over, Mordecai was the one who was in charge of Esther, and he took Esther with him. First stroke, Mordecai takes Esther with him. Then we get there and we see the way he's brought up Esther. We don't see it from when he said to Esther, sit properly. When people talk to you, say yes ma or say yes sir and stuff like that. But when we see Esther grow up and Esther begin to relate with other people, we can tell that Esther had fantastic upbringing. Now, I'm not saying this is in the Bible, but because I'm a storyteller, I want to stretch it a bit. Imagine that Esther's biological parents did not have the wherewithal to bring up a child properly. So Mordecai was the one who could. So Mordecai was the one who had Esther. Why? Because Esther had destiny to fulfill. But then Esther was in the land as a slave girl, and there was no big deal about her. But there was some other woman who lived in the palace. She was the queen at the point, and her name was Vashti. Vashti was the wife to the king of Babylon, or the king of Persia or Babylon at that point. And Vashti was there, and one day they had their month-long feasts, and the king had been having a lot of fun and probably drinking quite some wine. And one day, in continuation of the feast, the king was wondering, what can we do next? And someone says to him, have the queen, your wife, come and parade herself and dance for us. Where I stand, that is indignity. A queen does not dance to entertain or parade to entertain her subjects. So when Vashti said she was not going to do that, Vashti was not being, rebellious. She was just thinking about dignity of her office and of her womanhood. But somehow the king became upset because he felt like his wife had ridiculed him amongst his subjects or in the presence of his subjects. So the king was so upset that he started to wonder what to do. And I cannot prove it, but I also think that there were people in that room or amongst the king's subjects or royal council who didn't like Vashti for whatever reason. So because they didn't like Vashti, they decided that what the king was going to do was to put away Vashti and find another queen. And so the palace was queenless and the stage was set for an Esther to move in. However, Esther was not the only girl that was picked. A whole number of young ladies were picked. They were all kept in the king's palace for 1 solid year, priming them, feeding them, beautifying them to get them ready for the king to pick just one person. And so they had different coaches who were teaching them what to do. Esther got Hittak, the eunuch. And the Bible records that Hittak the eunuch would say to Esther, do this, use that. And the Bible said Esther did exactly what he told her to do. So at the end of 1 year, they started to present these girls before the king. And the king was only going to pick one person. And ultimately, Esther found favor and the king picked her. Drums are rolling now. The stage is set for that massive deliverance that Esther was going to bring to the Jews. But so far, if you ask me, Esther herself has only contributed obedience in this matter. She was not the one who brought her to the land. She was not the one who trained herself. She was not the one who made Vashti refuse to do what the king wanted. She was not the one who advised the king to let Vashti go. She was not the one who picked the other girls. She had nothing to do with the counsel that Hittak gave her. The only thing that she did in all of this was she was obedient. I'm talking to you about the fact that purpose is an ecosystem. see, in the word it is said that no man is an island. That's what I'm trying to push to you from this show. That not one of us is able to do anything by themselves except it is given. Someone, somewhere will contribute to where you need to go to. That's the point of purpose. So the drums are rolling. The stage is set. Esther has become queen. And like everyone else, Esther had gotten comfortable. She's now the queen. However, trouble was brewing. And one day someone comes to Esther to say, your uncle is at the city gates in sackcloth. Why? Because Haman, who didn't like the Jews, had decided that he was going to make sure that the king gives him the permission to extinguish or annihilate the Jews in the land. And the king did not even know the full extent of Haman's plot, but the king had gone along by giving him a signet ring, which meant that the stage was set and God's people were at the peril of their lives. But because purpose is an ecosystem, Esther might have been the one that was picked. Mordecai was the one that had the information. So she sent a message to her uncle to say, I hear this is what is happening. Why are you in sackcloth? Is there something I can do? And her uncle says to her, yes, you need to go and talk to the king because a plot has been put together and they are going to be dealing with us. And the Bible says that Esther did not want to do that because there was another rule in the land. No one can come before the king uninvited. So Esther sent a message to the uncle and said, you know what? I would have loved to do this, but the king has not asked me to come to his chamber. And I haven't been there for a while. If I go in without an invite, he may kill me. So what happens next? When I come back, we will continue.
Hi, I'm Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Many years ago, someone told me, Bidemi, you have a purpose here on earth. And this was at a time when my life was hovering on the verge of breaking because I was constantly and persistently depressed. That statement sent me on a journey to discover who I really am. I discovered that I'm a helper of destinies. What are you good for? Have you ever wondered what separates successful people from average and mediocre people? The one thing I have discovered is purpose. That is why after years of fear and living under depression and depressive thoughts, I chose purpose and today I live powerful. You want to live powerful too? Then join me on Purpose University, a home for you who want a life beyond the ordinary. To be the best you is what we're about. Welcome. This ride will change your life.
Welcome back. So Esther has gone back to Mordecai to say, I can't do it because the king did not ask for me. But Mordecai said something to Esther. He said, if you think that you will be saved because you live in the palace, I'm paraphrasing, then you need to think again. Because I promise you it will get out that you are a Jew too. And the same fate that befalls every other Jew will befall you. But he challenged her beyond that. He said to her, and who knows, it might just be for this reason that you made it to the palace. That indeed is the reason Esther made it there. And the rest, as they say, is history. Esther went to the king. The divine hand was there to make sure that she received favor. And those who prepared the gallows for the Jews were the ones that were thrown or that were put in those gallows ultimately. This is the journey of life. There is not one person who is able to live a life of purpose without other people who have spoken to them. You see me today or you hear me today and you're like, wow. But I didn't just fall like this. My parents contributed. When I talk to people about integrity today, they wonder whether I came from the shop like that with it. And I say, yes, maybe I came with the raw material, but I wasn't always someone who understood the power of integrity. But my mother beat integrity into me. She made sure I understood what it meant not to lie. She made sure I understood what it meant when I gave my word to be able to follow through on the word that I gave. So they contributed to where I am now. I can't begin to tell you the number of people over the years who had to stand to midwife me from one level of this journey to the next level. From my mom to my lecturers in university, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to my first boss, to the last person I worked for, as an employee, everyone dropped something that is useful to me today. Some people dropped something that I saw and I'm like, when I grow up, this is how I want to be. Other people dropped things in my life that I saw and I said, when I grow up, I will never be like you. Either way, they were useful. If there was no Haman, there would not have been need for Esther to fulfill destiny. But because there was a Haman and he was the antagonist, yet God used it. Now I know a lot of people will be saying to me, oh, if that is the case, why do we castigate Judas Iscariot? After all, he was fulfilling destiny too. And I said to someone this morning that yes, both the good, the bad, and the ugly are relevant to our destinies or our journey to purpose. However, we also have the power of choice. So the thing is, I choose to be used to make a positive stroke. A Hitler made a stroke in the big picture of life. ISIS is painting their stroke in the big picture of life. But in the end, posterity comes to judge by the choices that we make, which culminates in the kind of stroke that we paint. So I don't begrudge the people who cast me out when they did. Because if they did not cast me out when they did, I would not have made it to the land where my milk and honey was flowing. So today, with benefit of hindsight, I look and I say thank you for throwing me out the day you threw me out. But I'm also very quick to say thank you to those who stood by me when every other person said nothing will come out of me. And so today I can stand because they gave. There is a song that I love a lot. I don't know all of the lyrics, but it says something like this. It says, thank you for giving to the Lord. I am a life that was changed. I want you to understand that as you journey through life, others will add to you and you are bound to add to others because purpose is an ecosystem. No one person can survive on their own. No one purpose can survive on its own. I have to take from other people's elements to be able to get to where I'm going. And I have to be willing to give to other people for them to get to where they are going. So there are 6 things that I want us to learn from today's show. Number 1, if you understand that purpose is an ecosystem, you cannot be selfish. I see people know things and they hide them because they don't want the next man to know about them. But thank God for Google. And I'm so grateful to those people who put all that information out there. Because of Google, my journey has been easier. Because there are things I may not have known. I tell my children, how to tie a shoelace, go to Google. How to knot a tie, go there. How to do some things that are not fit to mention in this show, go to Google, they will tell you how to get them done. Information, when released freely, helps other people receive revelation for their journey. So you cannot be selfish. It just doesn't make sense to sit down and think, this is all for me. There is nothing that is committed into your hands that you can use alone. Part of it must be filtered to other people. The second thing is you also cannot be closed in. What that means is you cannot be self-sufficient. You cannot be selfish and you cannot be self-sufficient. Thinking, I don't need any other person. Oh no, you need someone. No matter how fantastic you are in what you do, if you have a product, you need someone to buy. Otherwise, you don't get money to do the other things you need to do. So you cannot be selfish and you cannot be self-sufficient. The third thing I want you to walk away from here is you must be clear what you are meant to build. Because here's what happens. Because information is flowing so freely, I believe. Between myself and my coach Anna, and my sisters Audrey and Ife, Ian, there is this way we walk. When I need something done and I'm not sure how to forge ahead concerning it, I just ask. And usually I find that someone else had the information but didn't need it. So they are quickly able to put it at my disposal and my journey begins to accelerate. So know what you're supposed to build, because when you are clear on what you're supposed to build, you will recognize what you have that is not useful to you, so that you will find it easy to freely give it to the next person so that they can use it for their own journey. The fourth thing that you must recognize is that you can't understand it all. See, this journey, some of us will only fully understand after we're dead and gone. That's the truth. Some of us will fully apprehend this journey in retrospect when we're on our deathbed. So there is nothing like, well, I don't know if I will need it. Because of that, I will not release it. You've had it for 2 years. You've not needed it. Release it. For all you know, it's because you're holding on to it. That's why the real thing you need has not come. You know, in my mind, I have a mental bag or a mental room. And that room on the door is a big sign. And the sign is the in case I need it room. And I can assure you that in that room, there are things from 30 years ago that I've still not needed. There are things from 20 years ago. There are things from yesterday. But I'm piling them because I'm thinking, just in case I need it tomorrow. But hey, what if you never need it? So recognize that you cannot understand the length and the breadth of this journey. So be bold enough to just take the step that you can see and release others to take the next step that they need to take as well. The fifth thing that you must know is that you must follow your instincts. Let me explain it to you. Everything that we do and we actualize and achieve concerning purpose is instinctive. You wake up and you just feel like, I have to do this. And when you begin to talk about it with that much passion with which you are talking about it, other people are looking at you and they're like, is that all? Why are you so passionate about food? Because it doesn't make meaning to them. But the fact that it does not catch their attention the way it's caught your own attention does not mean that it is not important. So follow your instincts. Someone said, does that mean that we will follow every instinct? I said, well, from where I sit, instincts should be tried and tested and proven. However, please, yes, sometimes just follow. The worst thing that can happen is you will fail. And if you fail, it doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who tried and didn't hit the mark. Next time, when another instinct comes, you will use the last experience to determine how you will go ahead. And the sixth thing that I need you to never forget is that there are no coincidences. I heard someone long time ago, a very wise person if you ask me, say that coincidences are God's working miracles choosing to be anonymous. So a coincidence is God working, choosing to be anonymous. And so we say, oh, it was just a coincidence. I walked into that office and I saw this person. I was exactly what I needed. Today as I'm recording this show, I'm meeting Lanre Vironke for the first time. And to think that he had made his own contribution to my journey by just one day deciding that I will send her a demo of an app. And that has expanded what it is that I do today. He's never met me, but he decided that he would bring that value my way. And this morning, as I record this show, he's seated right in front of me, and a relationship is forging. Now, I can't tell you where this journey is headed, but I sure like how far we've come together. Purpose is an ecosystem, but he has also had the benefits or the advantage of benefiting one thing or the other from me on this journey. It's not always about the money, but there are relationships I have that he's trying to reach, that I can open that door so that he can walk through. So purpose is an ecosystem, but I'm sure that 6 months ago, he probably didn't know I existed. But because that's the way these things happen, today we're on a journey together. There are other things I'm trying to do now, and he has the skills, and I'm saying to him, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? That's why we need each other. And that's the whole essence of purpose. That's why the African adage says, or proverb says, that it takes a village to train a child. The child only belongs to the parents when the child is in the womb. The moment the child is big enough to be able to run around, that child belongs to the community. It's the same thing with your purpose. If an Esther from the foundations of the earth had it written in her DNA that she will be the one that will bring salvation to the Jews, yet God lined up different things so that ultimately she will get there. Imagine that when Mordecai came to take Esther, her parents said, no, we will not release Esther to you. That may have been the reason why Esther would not have fulfilled purpose. Purpose is an ecosystem. Remember when I gave the definition, I said that it's a system that is interconnected and interactive. The question I want to leave with you today is, who are you connected with? And how do you interact with them? Now, I will not be doing justice to this show if I don't tell you that all these things happen sometimes individually and they don't look like they connect. But that's where the divine comes in. God, who is the master painter of this big picture, is the one that ties it all together. And my prayer for you today is that he will tie it up for you too, so that you will get to where you are going. He will bring the right people into your life. He will show you the right plans. He will take you to the right places so that you too can paint your stroke. And friends, once you've painted your stroke, your work is done. It may be a jot of a stroke, or it may be a very long stroke. You can't add to it. Once your work is done, step back and make room for the next person. Remember to register for the Return of the Helper conference. I'll be looking forward to seeing you. And for my friends outside of Nigeria, you need to download the BMM app, because Return of the Helper will be streaming on the BMM app, courtesy at Lanre Ibironke. Till next week when I'll come again your way. Discover purpose and live powerful. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to Nevertheless. For more information and resources, call 0813-360-2883 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimark-mordi.com. Don't forget that when you discover your purpose, you will live powerful.